Yeah, I started my photography career 2016. Pretty much it was me trying to be self-employed. I've always loved photography, like taking pictures, not necessarily professionally.
But you miss being in the field.
What I miss is the storytelling. It's not necessarily being in the field. I'm moving away from telling really depressing stories. I'm turning my camera more inward to what concerns me. Rather than cataracts, I would want to tell a story on high blood pressure because I have that. I'm pointing more inwards in terms of my photography practice. My attention span has gone down a lot. I don't know how to multitask. Imagine I'm doing something really important. I just pick up my phone. Sometimes we pick up our phone for no reason. It's algorithm. That's how it works. So it's more like, oh, you watch this, you enjoy this, they'll give you more of that. One thing people don't know is that to be creative, you need to be bored. Boredom is very key for creativity.
Kc,
Light.
good to have you.
Good to have you too. Or good to have me. Yeah.
Welcome to Lens and Lines podcast. How do you see Nigeria for a second time?
Same, to be honest. Same lovely energy. Same. Yeah, it's a bit dusty. But yeah, I think it's the same. Nothing has really changed. And then the inflation. I'm seeing people buying for 10 liters for like 10K, you know. But yeah, it's nice to be back. And I'm planning to move back with my family actually. Yeah.
That's that's
Yeah.
really good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to hear that. It's
Yeah.
good to hear that. And of course, you've been following stories around Nigeria, so I'm sure you come prepared.
Yeah, definitely. Nigeria is beautiful. In so many ways. It has its own limitations and stuff, but honestly, if you live elsewhere for some time as well, you start missing home, and you start seeing, the opportunities that are here as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back. The food, I missed the food a lot, and I've been eating a lot of like Nigerian food, and yeah, really nice.
You said you've been to Lagos, Kaduna, and then Enugu on a project.
Yeah.
So what are you working on?
Not on a project. I came for work. So pretty much there is this child. I think his name is Mohammed. He was 3 at the time. I photographed him in 2022. So for Sightsavers actually. So the boy, he got a cataract surgery. So this year we were doing a follow-up, and it made sense for me to go back, but this time as a staff of the organization. My role doesn't involve me taking pictures and stuff, but for this project, I had to take pictures because I was the one that took the pictures 2.5 years ago. Yeah, so it was nice going back, someone you met 2.5 years ago when they were having their surgery, now their eyes are better, he's in school. It was really nice to experience that. And I brought some of the pictures that I took. I put it in frame, gave it to them. It was really nice. Yeah, so that's what brought me to Nigeria. I was in Kaduna for like a week, and then came back to Abuja. Then I went to Kano actually to fly to Abuja. Then flew from Abuja to Enugu. And then I'm back to Abuja. Then I'll be leaving in a few days. Back to Manchester. Yeah.
How has it been? I mean, moving from the field to the office.
I mean, it's different. It's interesting in some ways. But again, I'm at a stage of my I've never planned to be the field guy all my life, And I think like if you also pay attention to other people that are in our field, there is a time you pivot, you move to a more leadership or managerial position as opposed to being the foot soldier in the field. So pretty much it was just a natural progression of my career, just, having a child, I needed to be more present But with being the field guy, you're always traveling, you're always on the field. And I don't think that fits into what I want for myself at that stage of my life. Um, it wasn't easy, but again, I planned. So if I was still in Nigeria, probably I wouldn't transition to that immediately. But I knew, we're expanding our family. We already lived in Nigeria for like 2 years. There was a time I went to the UK and I took a break from work for 6 months. I didn't work. I was just studying the market, the environment, what opportunities were there, where could I fit in, you know. So I just figured, okay, I have a lot of experience, a lot of clients. I think most of my clients is like 70% NGOs and like 30% publications, because really, what stories, not a lot of stories are happening here that is relevant to a global audience. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's only that big global one. That's when they invest the resources to document it. So like, 50 people, 200 people died in Ugwu Onyama in Enugu, a tanker fell. New York Times will not carry that. So the only time they would come is something that has global relevance. All I'm saying is there wasn't a lot of opportunities to kind of document publication stories, even in Nigeria. And in the UK, I think since I've been in the UK, I've only done like 3 publication assignments. I can't even take NGO assignments. No NGO is working in that region. There isn't anything to document, per se. And even there are way more strict laws around documentation and stuff like that, around like consent, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so when I came the 6 months, I was just observing, the life is different. Like in the West, if you don't have a full-time job, man, it's hard to survive. You won't have access to a lot of things. You won't have access to credit, even to rentals. You will struggle because they want to be like, okay, this is what you earn per year. Okay, you can afford this. This is how much you can borrow. It's a credit system. So a lot of the things you gain access to is based on how much you earn from your full-time job. So freelancers don't really have that unless you've been a freelancer for a long time and you can say, okay, I'm a freelancer, but I earn so amount of money every year and I've done it in the last 10 years. Do you get what I mean? So I knew full-time job was all I was going to do. And I knew these were the type of, I could be a photography manager, could be a photo editor, could be a producer. So I started looking and observing what are the kind of, that was when I learned video editing to kind of increase. Yeah, I do video editing now. All my classes, I edit them myself. It was one interview that forced me to learn it, Save the Children, which I almost got the job. But thank God I didn't get the job because the job also required some shooting, which, was just going to be, I can do video editing, but I don't enjoy it. So it's something I do out of necessity. So now imagine it's part of my job, my day-to-day job. So yeah, like I just applied for jobs the same season. And where I work now was part of, so it's more like, okay, I'm applying for jobs now. I have my visa, or in fact, I applied for a job before I even got my visa. I applied for the job when I was still in Nigeria. So I think I applied for it in November or so, and I moved in December. Yeah, it was a bit easier I'm marketable. I know my stuff. I have a lot of experience behind my work. But again, it's different. I'm pivoting, They don't know if I would do well in 9 to 5 setting. Do you get? So it was still some risk with any organization. And I haven't worked in the UK. Yeah, I have lots of experience, but that was me working as a freelancer. Yeah, so I got the jobs that I applied for, or I got very close to getting them. But in the end, I took this one because it kind of aligned. It didn't require me doing any video editing. it just aligned more with what I wanted to be doing. I think one of the things I struggle with would be um, being in the mood. Like as a freelancer, I could stay awake all through the night, do my stuff, right, work on my website or whatever. Whereas now that I work full time, all my creativity needs to happen between 9 to 5. And I struggle with that. Um, but also I'm grateful for the flexibility of my work as well, because I lead projects, so I control the pacing of what I'm doing. And it's still not very different from what I already do. I'm hiring photographers, videographers, to tell the stories of our project. So I'm still telling stories. It's just that I'm not the one taking the pictures, but I'm writing the brief. So it's my ideas that still comes to life and stuff. So yeah, it's different, but I think it's just different stages of life. And yeah,
You miss being in the field.
somehow, like I said, I'm a realist, right? I'm not one of those people that think I can eat my cake and have it. I'm in the field for a couple of days now. I don't I what I miss is the storytelling. It's not necessarily being in the field. Do you get what I mean? And also I'm moving away from I don't know if you saw my new project and stuff like that. I'm moving away from telling really depressing stories. I'm turning my camera more inward, to what concerns me. I don't really have any business with cataracts. I don't have any, like, those type of stories directly connected to me. um Apart from just the expertise of it, like that's part of my job. That's probably what I studied, because of the biology or the type of stories I'm interested in. But rather than cataracts, I would want to tell a story on high blood pressure because I have that. You get what I mean? So I'm pointing more inwards in terms of my photography practice. um so I wouldn't say I miss the field. My role as a producer, I still get to travel sometimes. I work, but I have to work with a photographer and a videographer in the field. So yeah, I wouldn't say, oh, I missed it. I think it's just another stage of my life.
You mentioned your ongoing project,
Yeah.
personal project. I got your newsletter and I kind of liked the dimension you took with it.
Yeah.
In the moment, I will come back to that. So, but let me take you back to how all this started.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to know how you got into what you do as a photographer, and then let's hear some of the challenges you had to overcome.
Yeah, I started my photography career, I think 2016. So pretty much it was me trying to be self-employed, at the point, because there was just a lot of young people graduating from school, piling up, looking for jobs. Um, I didn't just want to be one of those people. You get what I mean? So I was just looking for, oh, what can I do with myself and stuff? And photography at the time, I've always loved photography, like taking pictures, not necessarily professionally. But if you know me, anyone that knows me, like then in uni, I would have like thousands of pictures with my girlfriend, or do you get what I mean? Like I like to document things. But being a professional meant I was now photographing other people. I was behind the camera. So probably it's a full circle moment because now I'm photographing myself. Um, but yeah, that's how I started shooting weddings, events, pretty much anything people were willing to pay for. I even shot nude, all that kind of stuff. But in 2017, you know, I I didn't just see the long term benefit for me, like uh the work started feeling very monotonous. The weddings um just felt the same. You know how the routine of weddings can be: go to the church, the bride does this, So I didn't really connect to that. I didn't feel like it's something I could do long term. And that's how I came across documentary photography or photojournalism. And I had to volunteer with an organization. Um, I served with them, and that's how I started taking pictures for the organization, traveling to rural communities, telling stories of people in those communities, trying to hold their government to account, all that kind of stuff. So pretty much the main reason I moved into documentary photography, photojournalism, was I wanted my pictures to do way more than just be documenting moments. When you take pictures of weddings or photo shoots, it's pretty much for one individual, for their family. But with documentary photography and photojournalism, um, the stories I was telling had real impact. So if it was for publications, at least I could bring attention to the pressing issues that I was highlighting. If it was for NGO, at least it could be used for fundraising, or it could, whatever it is. I just felt like my pictures and my stories were contributing to the solution. You get what I mean? Because that's like, there was this project I tried to do with you as well, like the unemployment project. So my work has always been around trying to address issues or trying to humanize issues, like show how it's affecting people. Oh, this thing you're not doing, look at who is affecting, look at how it's affecting them. So yeah, that's how I started. Then I started shooting for different publications, different NGOs, and did that for like 7 years, 8 years or so. And then now I transitioned into production. But I still do photography, but just not for clients per se.
That's an interesting one. Interesting journey.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize, most of us, or some of us, let me put that, some of us, while we pick up the camera, it's either as a backup option or something to fall back to, or we still have it in mind that we want to go back to something we studied in the university.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I don't know if it was same for you. But then, at what point did you realize that this is what I'm going to do all my life, perhaps?
It wasn't like that for me. Like I said, so I like to think really deep into what I'm doing. So the first year I was shooting anything, right? But then I started thinking about long-term projection. Like, is this what I'm, even my mom asked me one question like, oh, this is your photography thing. You're just doing it to get a proper job, right? So those type of conversations, I have them with myself, like, do I plan to do this for life? And if it was going to be something I was going to do for life, I knew it wasn't going to be wedding. I knew it wasn't going to be portraits, because um, it didn't have for me at least, it didn't have the staying power for me to stay engaged for that long. With documentary or photojournalism, every single story is new. Do you get what I mean? Like, sometimes I have to research topics. I've done stories on so many topics, that if I wasn't a photographer, if I wasn't a documentary photographer, I wouldn't have known that. I've done stories on diamonds, so I know a bit about, like, yeah, you've gone on trips with me around that as well. Um, I've done stories on sickle cell. I've done stories I can't count. Do you get what I mean? So every single story that I do, there is something interesting. There is something new for me to learn. Whereas with weddings, it's love. That's it. It's just different people expressing their love. And most of the time, it's monotonous. It's the same routine for a lot of people. But documentary photography, photojournalism kind of gave me that opportunity to stay engaged, because every single one is new. And I knew it was something I could do for life, you know. And again, I didn't want a career. Even now that I'm working with my organization, my life doesn't revolve around that. So the organization I work for fits into my agenda because I see myself as like um multifaceted. So everything fits in the big picture. So even the work I do, so my life is not about the organization that I'm working with. The organization is about my life. Does that make sense? So every single thing ties in into the big picture. Yeah. So I've always known that photography was my key to everything else, and even my teaching linked to photography, my production linked to photography. And it's something I can do for life. Even when I'm 90, I can still take pictures. I can still work on projects. So there is no retirement really. It came so natural to me. The time I attended the portfolio review in 2019, that was in New York, I had a reviewer look at my pictures and, she was saying things I couldn't see in my work. Do you get what I mean? So like, there is something about my work that I can't even explain. And it just comes natural.
How important is it for someone who wants to get into photography to volunteer or make himself available?
Hmm.
You know, so you mentioned you volunteered
Yeah.
to with an organization, and then that was how you started getting yourself involved with storytelling away from the weddings.
Mm.
So I want you to tell us, how important is it today for someone to put himself in such position to volunteer and then to tell stories?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like how do you become a documentary or a photojournalist without telling stories? Because it's your portfolio that's what you will use to get the jobs that you want to get. So when I volunteered for that organization, we went to Meduguri, 2017. It was still a bit of a scary time. Yeah, volunteering is the easiest way for you to get into anything you want to do. It's similar to internship. Like I said, every single thing ties into my program. So the organization might see it, oh, I'm not paying this guy. I think I was being paid 20K then. And I've earned millions from weddings. And I was happy to risk my life for 20K. But it wasn't the money. I knew they were going to places, they had access to the kind of stories I wanted to tell. And I knew I could exchange my time for that. But the main thing is you having the picture, knowing what you want to achieve, and just finding the right people or the right spaces that you can achieve them. Yeah, they're paying me salary, but they paid my flights, they paid my transportation, paid my hotel, and I had access to those stories. And yeah, those were stories that formed my portfolio.
Did you get a formal training or into photography? Were you in any way enrolled into any photography school?
Yeah, I did a few. So I started learning about photography via online with Show Academy. I did all their courses, watched a lot of their live classes. In fact, I knew how to shoot on a camera on manual without ever touching a camera. Yeah, on Show Academy. I'm sure I've introduced you to it as well. I think they have rebranded and changed. In fact, I'm a lifetime member of Show Academy. Like up till now, if I go to the platform, I don't need to pay for any of their courses because like I bought a lifetime membership. Um, but yeah, I was doing photography. I think it was mostly for photojournalism because it's way more serious. Documentary photography is a bit more flexible. But photojournalism, there were like ethics around it. There are, things you shouldn't do, things you should do. So when I wanted to really have the confidence that I knew what I was doing as a photojournalist, I had to do a course with New York Institute of Photography. That was online. I mean, I did the course and I figured, oh, these are things I'm already doing. Yeah, but it helped. It helped with like my assignments with like publications because the course taught me how to write captions, um, the ethics, what I shouldn't do, what I should do, which is a bit different from when you're working with NGOs and stuff. With publications, you don't really interfere with the story. You just let it play out and you just document it.
Okay. So back to the education angle.
Mhm.
When you decided to go into teachings and trainings,
Yeah.
what was the motive behind? Was it because you you had to go through the online process of
I
trainings,
needed money.
or okay?
Yeah, I needed money. So the first workshop I did, which I think you attended, I've only done photography for like 2 years at that time. I needed money to pay for my New York Institute of Photography course. Some part of it. I think the total cost at that time, I got a discount, was like $450 or $500. Can't remember, but it was a lot of money for me then. Um, so I was just thinking about, oh, I need to do this course. I really love this course. And Tunde, I don't know if you know him, he lives in the US now. He was like, yeah, do a workshop. I'm like, bro, I just started. I've only done this for 2 years. He said, no, do a workshop. Workshop is not for people that have done it for 100 years. Bro, I went to, did my design, did my flyer. People showed so much interest. People bought tickets and stuff. I couldn't believe it. So in the end, in fact, people donated money. I think that's what you benefited from. I had someone just give me 50K, and I think I charged 10K for that course, or 15K or 20. I can't remember. But I know a lot of people, someone just gave money and said, yeah, I'm supporting, for you to teach. Yeah, that's how I started teaching. Um, and it was really good. People liked it. I invited some other photographers, and I started teaching. I did it every year. In fact, every year the money was going up, and people were still happy to pay, um, until COVID happened. Um, and I had to start teaching. I had to start teaching online. Yeah, so it's still pretty much the same thing. It's just that I'm now reaching more people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
You say you did this for the money.
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear, some
To
of
give back.
the,
Or what?
some of the. I know I struggled to get into
Nah.
my own training, and then I wanted to get so.
Nah, there is lots of resources, man. YouTube has a lot of. I told you I learned how to use a camera without touching a camera physically. So all these people waiting for people to teach them, they're not serious. I learned most of these things on my own. There are lots of resources out there. So you can't be like, oh, I'm not doing this thing because there is nobody to teach me. You're not serious, you know. So yeah, that was why I started. I say also, like, teaching as well for me is not just about the money. Like, my latest class is on archiving work. In terms of reach or what people will be interested in, it's not your most interesting topic. So it's not just money that is driving me. Money don't drive me really. But what started the teaching was I wanted to raise some money to pay for my course. But again, money is not enough motivator for me. So at the end of the day, I still need to find something more valuable that is the motivation behind what I'm doing. So all I'm saying is, if it's money, I'll be teaching something that is popular. I'll be teaching what everybody will jump on. But even if it's one person that learns what I'm teaching, I'm happy. Because archiving is something that there isn't a lot of resources out there for it. So it was me just sharing how I do my own archiving process. I don't expect it to be the highest performing class, but I know that if it's 1, 2, 3 photographers that really have that problem, watch it and see how I do it, and it helps them, I'm happy. So yeah, yeah, I teach as well to give back, to share my knowledge, to also learn more about what I'm doing.
Okay, so those come after the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Money is not enough motivator for
Yeah.
anything.
I can still remember some of your classes
Yeah.
where you say, if you want to be rich,
Yeah, go and
then
do
go and do
business.
something
Yeah,
else and not
yeah,
documentary
yeah.
photography.
True.
Is it still the same?
It's the fact. How many documentary photo? Check Forbes list. Did you see any documentary photographer there? You can, you'll be comfortable. I've never dreamt of being like wealthy. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's not. The more you work in the field, the more you tell stories, the more you don't value material things. Do you get what? Like, if you open my head now, I'm not thinking about buying the latest car, owning a big man. Like, it's not in my plan. Like, if you've worked with me, you know what I mean. If I have extra money, I want to give, like, oh, I made so much money. Okay, let other people have. Do you get what I mean? So I think is what if you apply your heart to the work and you go to communities, you see what people are living on, what people are surviving on. It's documentary. I don't wear colors like that. It's now that I moved back to the UK that I started wearing a little bit of color, because everything is like at the base level, simplistic, you know. And that's what the practice does to you. You don't value material things that much, you keep life as simple as possible.
So my next question would be, how important is mentorship? I want you to speak to this angle. So there are also distant mentorship, you understand, and relationship. How important is it for young photographers to have someone immediate? Of course, there are bigger photographers you want to look up to and you want to be like, but someone you can always run to.
I think you are well positioned to answer that question because I've not really been anybody's mentee. Do you get what I mean? I've had people I look up to, but not in the way that like. I can learn by observing. So someone like Tom Sata, Andre Siebo, all these guys have influenced me without me being like super close to them because I can observe. Oh, Tom, how did you write your bio? I don't need to ask him. I go to his website. I see how he wrote his bio. What platform is he using for his website? Oh, format. Oh, that's what the top guys are using. I'm going to use it too. So they are mentoring me without even knowing they're mentoring me. So I think you are the one that can speak to the benefits of it. But looking at you, I think for some people it works for them, right? Like, but again, it's that value that you bring as well, because in you, um, I saw someone that is reliable, and that's why I don't mentor people like that. I'm a very private person, and you know this already. Like, I don't let people get so close to me unless they deserve it, because once I love someone, I can't hate the person, and it means the person will have access to me. So the way I protect myself is making sure that people that have that level of proximity to me are solid people. And even in the course of our work, we've had a lot of things we fell out for. We've had a lot of disagreements, but there has never been any concern around, oh, this guy doesn't have my interest at heart. And it's hard to find, bro. And that's why we are still here today. I've had really bad experiences where you hire people, they tell you a rate. Oh, this is what I charge for this stuff. But because I'm a kind person, I know, okay, this is what I put on the budget. I'm going to pay you that budget, right? And then they start demanding for more. Do you get what I mean? Yes, I've had lots, like, yeah, terrible experiences. So I don't give people more than they deserve. And again, I don't think I mentored you like that. Do you get what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, we just became friends. And in fact, I don't feel like you've taken enough as you should as a person. I tell you all the time, I'm like, bro, I don't think you're at the level you should be. Because so imagine you don't even have access to someone like me, or you don't have access to Nelson. Maybe it's worse. So mentorship might be good for some people, but me, I'm able to get the mentorship without getting close. Do you get? I will just observe your movement. When I have the opportunity, I ask you specific questions, you know. I don't need to be around you all the time to pick it up.
Okay, so the next question will be your ongoing project.
Yeah.
How did you come about it?
Yeah, screening Hysteria. Again, it's like my first proper pointing the camera on me kind of project, self-portraiture project. I've had similar stuff like with the Isolating with You, Malicha, which was really a very, now that I look back at those pictures, I'm like, whoa, I shared a lot. But yeah, screen hysteria is just me responding to my phone addiction, screen addiction, phone in general. I just noticed, the iPhone has this screen time. And I figured that I was spending a lot of time on my phone. And it started when I was on a production trip. That's when I noticed it. I was on a production trip in Zimbabwe, and we traveled to a lot of places, but we got to this place called Binga, and the reception wasn't good. Usually, even if the reception is not good in the field, you're fine with it. But you're supposed to get back to the hotel, have good internet. We got back to the hotel. They have good internet, but the woman gives only 500 MB voucher. Bro, if 500 MB hits my phone, finishes in 2 seconds. Like my pictures are updating on the iCloud, all that kind of stuff. Long story short, being there for like 4 days really frustrated me because I didn't have access to internet. And I kept on asking myself, like, bro, like, what's the issue? Why are you so engrossed in, like, why are you feel, when people are having like withdrawal symptoms and stuff. Um, when I got back to England, that's when I now like, man, I have to look at my relationship with my phone, with my screen. Like now, I don't have social media. I have my accounts, but I delete the app. When I need it, I download or I just access it on the browser. Instagram is the biggest culprit with the whole reels. I just keep watching reels. And it just felt like it was affecting me psychologically because, I would be at work. I told you I work 9 to 5, and all my creativity needs to be squeezed into that time. And it's really hard because my brain works better in the evenings. Um, so imagine sitting on your desk for from 9 to 5, and you were pressing you'll be doing a task. All of a sudden, you just get distracted with your phone. You do the task, so you end up a whole day. You sat on in front of your desk, and you still feel like you didn't do anything productive. You know. So that project was me kind of addressing that issue. Like expressing the emotions, the feelings that I couldn't verbalize. Just whenever I felt so frustrated, I just mounted my camera on a tripod, used a wireless trigger, and just took pictures. And that was the result. I plan to turn it to a book that will come out maybe end of the year, and maybe possibly do an exhibition and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the main reason behind it. Like that was me just addressing excessive screen use.
Yeah, a couple of weeks before that, I think I can't really recall the organization that put out, was it Guardian or the Times, but it was a very big research done. I think I shared it on my status, where they were especially concerned about the way Instagram is designed to keep us stuck,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so like
Dopamine.
yeah, to keep us stuck, and then we keep going on and on and on and on and on.
TikTok perfected it, but I'm too old for TikTok. So yeah, so the Instagram brought it. And these are people I don't even follow. And the funny is algorithm, that's how it works. So it's more like, oh, you watch this, you enjoy this, they will give you more of that. Before you know it, you're on your phone 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You pick up and my attention span has gone down a lot. I don't know how to multitask. So imagine I'm doing something really important. I just pick up my phone. Sometimes we pick up our phone for no reason. I'll just pick up my phone, open Instagram. Next thing I'm swiping. Before I know, oh, 1 hour is gone. I go back to the stuff I'm doing. So it didn't work for me. So now, in fact, I've even pushed it further. I don't like my phone. I don't access my phone unless I have a phone call before 9 and after 9. Also, because of my daughter, she can't be seeing me always on my phone and stuff like that. Yeah.
I also see that with my son too. So we've restricted the phone, the gadgets for a while.
Yeah.
But then, when your office is on
Yeah.
your phone, like
Yeah.
I am, you're always looking for
Yeah.
something. So I do string.
Yeah.
I do string for news agencies. So always on the lookout for something interesting
Is it on Glimmer?
to pitch.
Where?
No, not on Glimmer,
Okay.
AFP,
Okay.
AP.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to pitch ideas to them, so you're always on the phone. But then I also notice the child is
Yeah.
seeking attention and then he keeps coming around. So once he sees you drop the phone, he runs and picks it up.
Yeah.
And then even if he's not, he just keeps going around with it
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this. So I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So this is what this phone is actually
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really something one should consider, because I still remember our time in Foundry. One thing they mentioned was how it also influenced your creativity.
Yeah.
You would want to recreate those things instead of something coming out from your head.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say about that?
I think it's not even about inspiration. It depends on what you are consuming. And that's why it's good to read photography books, watch photo books, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of creativity, it kills your creativity because your brain is on overdrive. You are overstimulated. There is just a lot of information coming in, news. Oh, this one happened. I'm not even up to date with news. I don't care so much about it. Do you understand? Like, I control the amount because once you're stressed, once you're consuming a lot of content, you can't get creative. Like this project I did, if I was living in Nigeria, I wouldn't have been able to do it because you come in, everything is stressful. Oh, where will I get fuel today? Oh, well, do you get what I mean? So with phone, at least fuel, you have to need it. You have to go out. Phone, everything is literally in your palm. Like, oh, this one is happening. Oh, they are killing people. So which space will you now have to think or to be creative? And one thing people don't know is that to be creative, you need to be bored. Boredom is very key for creativity. So with us being overly plugged in, it's really hard to be creative. So I think everyone should. I mean, that's the essence of the project. The pictures also look a bit scary. I have a lot that you haven't seen. I'll publish most of them in the book, but it's more like I want people to look at those pictures and kind of get an idea of what I'm feeling. And maybe they can relate as well to those feelings. And maybe they haven't been able to define it. They haven't been give it a name. So maybe with that project, it can trigger people. And I've gotten a lot of emails as well. People telling, oh, I'm going to make adjustments to. Yeah, because for long I never admitted I was addicted to my phone.
That's one interesting thing that we get to benefit, even if it's not financial, as photographers.
Yeah.
Because when you are able to come up with a project or you put out something like this, and then people with excitement wants to key in, and then they tell you, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah.
I still remember one of your projects with Elizabeth and how
Okay.
how it drew people to
Yeah.
wanting to
To
help.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how powerful photography can be when it's done right. For the future, I overthink and I overplan. But at the same time, I try to let life do its thing. But in the end, the future I'm envisioning, at least in the next 10 years, is more like me still progressing in my direction as the strategic lead around storytelling. So I want to do my master's. I started an MBA. I did 2 modules. I scored really good grades, but it didn't really fit into the strategic plan that I had. So now I'm thinking of doing an MA in storytelling. So it's not just photography, because now I'm thinking about like broader. Strategic plan, I'll keep telling stories anywhere. Like I've noticed that I'm interested in storytelling, and photography is one medium that I use. I'm doing a lot of writing now. I'm telling stories through writing as well. um I will continue in that direction. I want to publish more of my work in books, and I also want to create a platform that publishes work in books for other photographers, especially in this region. And I think that's one of the benefits of being in the West. There are lots of opportunities, there are lots of possibilities. So, for instance, publishing a book and making sure that even if you die, your work will still be accessible. You can do it there. It's hard to do it here. So I plan to use, with by extension, No Wahala Media, what we are doing there, to also kind of give more opportunities to other people that are practicing here, but also want to access that global platforms. Yeah, so for the next couple of years, like this year, I will release at least 2 photo books. And I'm not releasing it for, I know people will buy it. I have people that really follow my work that want to buy, but I'm not even publishing it like to make profit or anything. I'm publishing it for myself. Because, holding your work in a book format, having to write a little bit about the work and, sequencing it, holding it physically, bro. That book you gave me, is it Entourage or from Canon? How did you feel when you saw your work inside of it? Holding your work in book format, bro. And it's easy for people to buy as well. So for me, that's the direction I'm headed, publishing more of my work. This year I'm going to be publishing Tales of the OU Reach South. But broader, because since the time I took those pictures, I've done other assignments around that topic for New York Times, for different organizations. So I want to tie all those pictures together and talk about what's happening in the Niger Delta, using those pictures. So by the second quarter of this year, yeah, I should be publishing the book, and I'm now going to use it as the experience builder to help other people to publish their own books. Yeah, and so because we are taking a lot of pictures, and 50, 60 years from now, nobody will know who you are. Do you get what I mean? But if you're able to publish a book with an ISBN that can be printed anytime, that is available and resold, nobody can deny you didn't tell your stories. Because that's what's happening. When you research the Biafran War, when you research anything from the pre-colonial times, the history, whose pictures do you see? Are you telling me there are no Nigerian photographers then? But who documented it? How did they store it? How many Nigerian photographers do you know from history? Does that make sense? Is that lack of continuity? And one way that you can make sure that your name or your work doesn't disappear is by putting it in a book. So that's the direction I'm headed. I'll do the masters. I'll keep working in within the NGO field, keep building my profile as a storyteller, and I'll keep producing personal work and keep publishing them and doing exhibitions. Um, so yeah, that's the future I envision, and yeah, I plan to move back to Nigeria as well. The stories are here. Um, yeah. I think living in the West is just the access that comes with it. But once I have that, living in Nigeria is the best. My money will go far for me here. The weather is better here. I have options. I'm from here. No matter how many years, even if you're born there, your identity and your right to be there is always questioned. But here, like, nobody denies that I'm Nigerian. You know, um, So I plan to move back here with my family, and I'll keep working globally, to tell stories that are already in Africa. Yeah. What I would say to someone that is looking to pick up media production as a career is nobody's going to support you in general. If you want to be a musician, you might not really. You should do it for yourself. And times have changed. How much are doctors earning per month? You know, uh, times have changed. Content creators are making way more money. Creators making 10 grand per month. How many doctors earn that? So at the end of the day, I think you just have to be honest to yourself. Like, what do you want to do for yourself? And whether or not people are supporting you, you should take it. If I sought someone's opinion when I was switching from general, all these other types of photography to take up a job where I'm paid 20K per month, they would think I'm stupid. A job where I'm taking more risk. Weddings are more chilled and stuff. I'm going to places that I could meet terrorists and stuff, right? But I knew what I was trying to achieve. So if you have that clear picture, don't care what people are saying. You know, people, they will say things they can say based on their perspective, based on how far, because they love you. But at the end of the day, you have to see your life, your dream, and you have to pursue it. You can't rely on what your mom or your dad wants for you, because you can't achieve anything like that. It's your dream. You're the only one that sees it. So link yourself more with people that can push the dream. The people that cannot push it, don't waste your energy convincing them. Tell them you love them and just do what you need to do.
At first, you may not get the support, but then I know over time they will want to come and identify with you. I mean, this is my son. This is my relation. This is my brother, my distant cousin. So nothing comes easy. I mean, nothing else comes easy. So just to it's when you're looking for the support. I know I got my first camera through savings during my NYSC, saving my allowance, like kept saving it until I got the camera. So yeah, you may not get the support immediately, but I'm sure it may not be that serious right now.
Don't rely so much on support. Even your friends might not. You know, it's one thing I've learned in life is I focus on things within my control, man.
You want to talk about how you got your camera that you
Oh my
bought?
god. You know how I did it? Like, yeah, I wrote my business plan. Yeah, I wrote my business plan, shared it with like family and stuff. Like, nobody responded. Like some said, "Oh, I don't have money." I think I was looking for like 250K to start my photography career. But I took the bull by the horn, man. I fasted. Even me, that I'm not a very religious person, but I just felt like it's something I can do. I fasted for like 7 days, um, praying. When you're fasting, usually when I fast, sometimes I put food in my mouth, be like, "Oh, I'm fasting, oh." But this one, I didn't make any mistake, man. I knew it was something I needed, right? And I took it really seriously. After the fasting, I thought I would start getting alerts and stuff. Nothing happened. And that was when Jumia also started doing pay on delivery. I ordered the camera without 5 kobo in my account. Yeah. And I think they delivered 3 days before. Then I think a day before the delivery, alerts wasn't coming in as well. Yeah, one of my uncles that I told I was doing my project. When you're in your final year, you can beg everyone money because they know this is the last time I will help you. So there was this my uncle. Yeah, there was this my uncle that I asked for money for my project. I think I asked him for like 50K, and he just messaged me, "Oh, send your account number." I'm like, the guy is in US. He's visiting. I'm like, God has answered my prayer. This guy transferred me 20K, man. I was looking for 150K, you know. But that 20K kick started the ginger. Okay, it could happen. And I just started calling people. All the people I called borrowed me money. So called the first one. He said, "Oh, this is money for my rent or for my shop. Please make sure you pay me by the end of." I said I will pay. He gave me 50K. Another person gave me 50K. Another person 20K and 10K. Immediately the last 10K came in. I got a notification that my camera has landed. I still remember in Gwagwalada, I went to the shop, I picked up the camera. I couldn't believe it. And that's how I started. I started doing little photo shoots. I paid back everyone that I borrowed money from. Yeah. So when there is will, there is way, man. You can't wait for people, to up till now, a lot of people still don't understand how we get paid in documentary photography. Do you get? A lot of people still don't get it. And that's understandable. So you can't rely so much on people supporting you. They have their own. Maybe they don't have the resources. Maybe they don't. Imagine telling someone is telling you, "I want to be selling like something so abstract that you cannot relate to. Why would you invest your money in it?" Do you understand? But I mean, photography has changed largely. There are lots of examples of people that are doing well. In fact, I used it to tease my mom when I got back. I'm like, "Do you remember when you told me that I'm doing photography until I start the proper thing?" I said, "Do you still feel like that?" She just laughed. She still doesn't know how I make money, but she knows I do this. But she still doesn't understand the value chain, really. So yeah, don't rely on support. Don't In anything you do in life, focus on what you can control. Leave every other thing you cannot control. If not, you'll be frustrated and disappointed.
Right, right. It's been an interesting afternoon talking to you,
Yeah,
Casey.
I have to go.
I'll just include that your Skillshare account
Mm,
on the
on the post.
on the post,
Okay.
so people can easily come online and then talk to you as well.
Yeah.
Get your subscribe to your weekly mails, your
Yeah.
newsletters,
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kc Nwakalor. I'm a documentary photographer, producer, and educator. I'm based currently in Manchester, UK. And through my work, I humanize real socioeconomic, health, and environmental issues. Um, yeah, that affects Africans in Africa and Africans in diaspora. At the moment, my work is more introspective. I'm looking more at myself and I'm using photography as a tool to verbalize emotions and talk about things that are important to me. Yeah, so it's nice to be here today. To catch up with my friend Light, and yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you, man.
Good
Yeah,
to have you.
yeah. Good luck.